Wonderful. Well, welcome to the first World of Choices Skilled Trades event for this year, May 7th, for building spaces. We want to thank RBC for funding the World of Choices. And we would also like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, where our relationship is based in peace and friendship. And we also acknowledge that people of African descent have been in Nova Scotia for over 400 years, and we honor those ancestors of African descent who came before us to this land. Again, we have the wonderful Chris Dill here from Irving Shipbuilding presenting for us. And he is a Local 1 Red Seal pipe fitter and mechanical superintendent.
So I started at the Halifax shipyard in 2009, and I was on the tools at that point. And then I left in 2012, and I went to Alberta, and I did what every other pipe fitter does from Nova Scotia. I went to Alberta and I worked in the oil fields. And then I came back to Halifax shipyard, and I took a job as a supervisor. And then I took a job as a manager. And then I took this job as superintendent. So I've been here on and off for nearly 10 years. I've watched the place evolve from kind of an old dingy shop to, a very state-of-the-art, pretty cool place to work. Honestly, it's interesting. We take small pieces of metal or big pieces of metal and we form them into a ship. It's incredible what they do here. So
that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like you really took all the steps up the ladder to get to where you are today. What?
Slow and steady, hey?
What set you on this path, choosing this career?
So I went to NSCC and I took the pipe trades course. The pipe trades course offers plumbing, pipe fitting, steam fitting. Okay. So after jumping around as a plumber, as a pipe fitter, I decided to become a steam fitter, pipe fitter. I was basically because of the money. Honestly, at that point in my life, the work is pretty similar, but pipe fitters and steam fitters seem to make more money. There was a lot of work going on out west, and I really enjoyed that. I liked traveling when I was younger. I do not like that aspect anymore. I have a little boy and I need to be home with my wife and little boy. So being here at the Halifax shipyard and being able to be home every night is really good for me. It's really good for your family, and it's really good for my mental health, honestly.
It gives you that work-life balance.
It gives you a really good work-life balance. I'm with my wife and kid every night and every weekend, and that's what works for me.
Yeah. So. Did you always think that this would be the path you'd head down?
No, not necessarily. I jumped around a little bit. I wanted to be a professional boxer at one point in my life. Just wasn't talented enough. I wanted to start my own plumbing company. It didn't really work out. There's a lot of competition. I think once I found shipbuilding, I thought that it was a good place for me to be. I like working here. I like seeing things, big projects. I like seeing stuff like this get built, formed from small pieces of metal or flat pieces of metal into a ship. It's really cool.
It sounds like a really cool process to be a part of. One of the questions we have here from youth is what did you need to do in terms of both your education, but also that additional training, those other bits and pieces that you had to learn along the way to get into the shipbuilding sector?
Sure. So I became a pipe fitter, and then I became a supervisor. And while being involved in supervision, I also got my welding inspection ticket.
Yeah.
So that was the second step that kind of made management positions appealing to me, because I had that secondary thing to, that I don't know exactly how to explain it. I had that little bit of an extra. I guess I had that extra drive to try to become a little bit more than than just a regular pipe fitter, I guess, which there's nothing wrong with being just a regular pipe fitter. But once I got into supervision and management, I really enjoyed that too. I like working with people. I like helping people. I like to, try to make a good team and see what we can do, see what you can accomplish. So I guess I've taken some leadership courses and some management courses and some safety courses, and that all kind of molded me to get into the position I'm in.
Yeah. So it wasn't just a like finish my NSCC, I'm good, I'm done, I'm going to stay on that path. You did some like lifelong learning, if you will, and learned a bunch of
Yeah.
transferable skills along the way.
Yeah. And that's the way I see it.
That's awesome. Could you tell us about maybe your typical workday when you first started, and then maybe your typical workday now?
Yeah, sure. My typical workday when I first started was very hands-on, installation of pipe, grinding, cutting, forming pipe, doing all the my typical day now is not like that. It's a lot more, a lot less exciting, I guess I would say, but it's still good. It's very satisfying, but it would be, I guess the things that I do now that are exciting is like when we finish a ship, I'll go on sea trials and I'll go offshore and, we'll test the ship and make sure it's functioning properly. And that is very fun. That's a life-changing experience. If you've never been on a ship in the middle of the ocean, spinning around in circles and flip-flopping back and forth in the middle of the night, it's quite the experience. That's open up to any tradespeople. When we do sea trials, when we finish a ship, depending on the situation or the job that you're doing at the time, you can be involved. Any tradespeople have been involved. The Navy's involved. It's really cool. It's open to a lot of people. Some people don't enjoy it because, seasickness but
Real.
if you can get through seasickness, the food's really good and the experience is really fun. So it's perks of this job and perks of working at the shipyard. Honestly, there's a lot of people that get to go on sea trials and it's really fun. So there's always like that kind of the excitement to my job, where before it was more installation and building things. Now I'm kind of trying to help my team more than anything. Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go off script a little more even. You mentioned in this that there's all sorts of trade. I mean, it can't be just pipe fitters who build a boat.
No.
So who else is part of that team?
We have iron workers, welders, pipe welders, which is, just a welder that welds pipe. Painters, laborers. I mean, it takes all kinds of different types of people. We have welding inspectors. We have, quality control, quality assurance. There's all kinds of different folks that help build the ship. Is there any other trades that I'm missing? Iron worker? I'm not sure if I said iron. We're in desperate need for iron workers. If anyone knows any.
Yeah, it sounds like all of the metalworking in every way, shape, or form. It sounds like Nova Scotia is in dire need of all of those fields.
I hate to use the word desperate. We could use another 20 pipe fitters and another 50 welders and that's just for our project, our current capacity, like what we need right now. When we start the CSC project, which is significantly bigger, which will take me to retirement and probably most of the kids that I'm talking to right now, it would take them to retirement. It's a huge project and we need tradespeople pretty bad. So if anyone knows any or wants to become, fire over a resume.
How can youth who are interested, what do you recommend that their steps be? They're done high school, they're heading out into the world now. How do they get to where you are?
NSCC it's been 20 years since I was there, but they had a really good program. The pipe trades program, I think it's a year now. That was really good for me. It was 2 years back then, but I believe it's a year. Trade school is I wouldn't say it's an absolute necessity to get into the Halifax shipyard, but it's pretty close. It's pretty hard to get in unless you're, an indentured apprentice, which takes schooling and stuff. But I mean, there's lots of videos online and of the AOP ships, the current ships that we're building. There's videos online of the CSC program that's coming up in the next couple of years. Watch them if you're interested. It's really neat what goes on here, and it's a lot. I'm so close to it that sometimes you kind of you stop. You know, you're not living in awe anymore, I guess. But you know, I brought my son in for family day a few months ago, and he was blown away. You know, this place is so big, and there's, you know, big cranes, and there's portions of the ship they're all over the place. And there's a paint booth that's the size of, you know, 12 of my homes. You know, like, it's really neat. It's eye opening. It's a cool place to work. So.
Does Irving Shipyard support work terms or even visits, or
Yeah,
for youth who are interested?
We have a work term program right now. We've got 10 or 12 pipe fitters that just came from NSCC, and they're doing their work term. And then they have programs where they'll bring young people in and run them through. I'm not 100% sure. If you want to talk afterwards, I can probably figure out how it goes. I know that they do. I'm just not sure exactly who we'd have to speak to, but we could definitely try and get some people in to tour around. It happens quite often. So.
No, that's great. Is there anything else that we haven't chatted about that you'd like to share with us today, Chris?
No, I just think Nova Scotia is kind of we've always been shipbuilders, but now we're becoming like we are building, you know, frigates for the Canadian Navy that are you
It's
know,
not your dory anymore.
No, I mean, these are battleships, and it's going to be really cool to be involved in this in the next 20 and 30 years. It's going to be the new fleet of ships for Canada. So it's going to be pretty cool if anyone's
interested. Thank you so much for joining us today, Chris, from Irving Shipbuilding. It was wonderful to have you here to share with you the opportunities that are available right here in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.